Exploratory level 1, my friends. I'm going to have you start flat on your back. Flat on your back. We're going to be talking today about one's ability to stay in the present moment. I want to say that I feel as you lay down on your back, an important thing to understand is that peace, true peace and contentment is maybe only found in the present moment. So today we're going to do a very exploratory practice to explore the spaces in our bodies. We're going to take very traditional poses that if you've been doing yoga for very long, you're going to be familiar with, but we're going to explore them and we're going to move around in them. We're going to take up space in the moment and place that we are. So just start to cultivate some awareness through your breath. Awareness not in what's going on outside of you or where you have to go after this, but awareness of the space that you're in right now, heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I don't mean space in your circumstance you're in your life or season you're in your life. I mean literally just choosing to be with me for the next 45 minutes on your mat. You've set aside this time. You've set aside this time to do this practice. So you clearly don't have anything else you have to be doing in the next 4 to 5 minutes. What if you gave yourself the freedom in your thought life to only spend time with the Holy Spirit? You pushed play on this video. You saw how long it was, right? And you said, yeah, I can do this, and I'll push play. So what if you really, truly just were here with me today? What kind of freedom in your mind and in your heart would that allow for you? I'm going to give you a few moments of silence while I just kind of be quiet. And in this beginning meditation, I'd love for you to think through what kind of freedom would you have if you just fully chose to be present right here, right now, as you've intended. Begin to work your breath here. Start to take note of your abdominal muscles and how when you fill your belly with air, your diaphragm pulls down into your abdomen. It pushes your organs down and it inflates it. Your muscles become lax so that they can expand. And then as you're exhaling, your exhale optimally is a little longer than your inhale. And you're just noticing that as you exhale all the air, all the muscles are wrapping around the spine and really engaging your core. And when we say engage your core in yoga, that's what we mean. And start to do your breath with some force as you exhale. So inhale to the count of 4, 2, 3, 4, and then give it some gusto. Exhale. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. Do that a couple of more times. And again, just explore the interior space with your mind's eye. Notice the meditative power of this. It's really difficult to be thinking of where you're going next or pondering or ruminating on the past, but I'm asking you to focus so intently on this thing. Therein lies the power of yoga. And we're going to do some exploration. If you have a block handy, I'm going to be using 1 or 2 today. You can grab it if you need to, and just place it between your knees. Now, if you don't have a block, this isn't a vital part of it. It's not, you can't not experience it. It's just a great tool to help you experience this. So squeeze that block with your inner thighs. Your hands can come right down by your side if the soles of the feet are on the mat. And then very gently draw your pubic bone toward your belly button by 1/4 of an inch. And you'll notice that your low back flattened out a little bit. It just really created space back there, which is usually very compressed from sitting often or standing or wearing the wrong shoes. Just explore that. Just notice now. Just take this power of meditation. We're doing a moving form of meditation. Notice there your inner thigh is starting to get tired. Your belly is starting to get tired. It's not a big movement. These are very small, subtle movements. Hold that for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now remove your block. You can place it under your neck if you want a little support, while you let your legs just open like a book, and notice now what it feels like for everything to be let go. Notice how your pelvis tips forward just a little bit. Now there's a space between the floor and your low back. Not necessarily a bad thing. It's the natural lordotic curve of our lumbar vertebrae. Maybe notice if you feel more tension on one side of your inner thigh than the other. My right side is much more flexible. There's only about, maybe 1.5 inches between my knee and the floor. And on my left side, it's a lot less flexible. There's a good solid 3 inches between my knee and the floor. I don't need to judge that or place a value on it or think that it's not good. I can just note that about my body and then send my body love. Thank her for how strong she is. Send my body love for prioritizing my self-care today to be on this mat. And in the spirit of following our breath and being very exploratory, that's our intention, is to explore. It's not to get a workout in. It's to notice, a lot of noticing. I want you to first bring your pubic bone closer to your belly button. That's engaging the core. Do that with your breath. So inhale. Exhale, come to the bottom. And at the very, very bottom of your exhale, draw that pubic bone towards your belly button just a little bit. Now inhale, let go. Exhale, round it in. You're learning right now how to isolate, inhale, let go, just your lumbar vertebrae. Exhale, get to the bottom of the exhale, and then pull that pubic bone in. So look at me maybe, if you're kind of confused with the movement, you're like, kind of, what's going on? Notice as I do it, I'm talking, so I'm not breathing with it. Hopefully you're breathing with it. You're imagining anatomically that space as you move and breathe. You'll see, if you can even see on the screen, the movement is very small. Very small shifts in our thinking bring massive amounts of freedom. And the small shift to notice when you're talking or thinking or ruminating on the past and pulling yourself into the present, or noticing when you're thinking or worrying or what-ifing the future, pulling yourself back into the present. That's a small shift with massive, massive freedom-giving consequences. The next time you come to that engaged pubic bone, belly button together movement with that engaged first, draw your knees together. Let's add on. Remove the block from your head. If you have 2 blocks and you want to block under your head, you like that, do it. Now that is already engaged in the abdomen. This is going to bring great healing to the low back. Lots of little intricate ligamentous spaces in your pelvis and ilium. It is really hard to get to create space, and that tension pulls on them. So now, not only is the lumbar vertebrae engaged, but knit those ribs together. And now from your pubic bone to the bottom of your collarbones, you're engaged. Pull the knees up. And notice, just start to notice, as you lift and lower your legs from your pubic bone to the bottom of your collarbone, notice how much work is placed on your spine to lift your legs, not your quads, not bending over, just your spine. We're just exploring our space today. Imagine, if you can, the acetabulum of the pelvis, which is where the hip bone inserts, just like this. It's kind of turned sideways and it inserts just like this. Imagine that moving in that space in your hip because you've got this anchor stable in your spine. I'm also just sneaking in core work. So yeah, we're exploring, but your pubic bone to the bottom of your collarbones on the front, side, and back, that's all your core. Give me 2 more. Now we're hugging everything in, right? Now remove that block, soles the feet together, just let everything relax and fall out. Again, notice. Do you feel the residual burning in your abdomen? What's happening right now as you're resting is it's going to take about 60 seconds, and the muscles in that area are going to replenish with oxygen and sugar. See, you just burned it out. When you start to feel it burning, that's your body going, hey, we've used our store of sugar. We've used our stores of carbs. We need more. And so you start to get to a point of failure, and you rest and let go, and your body starts to, through an anaerobic process in your energy system, starts to restore that sugar, and then you can do it again. And then you end up burning it out multiple times. That's what you're becoming stronger. You're getting to a point of weakness to become stronger. And just make note, has your mind started to wander? Draw it back. Use the power of your breath and the sensations you feel around you to draw you back from going past or future. Thinking of what you have to do after this is the future. It's not here yet. You committed to this amount of time. Just spend time with me and the Holy Spirit for this next few minutes. Now remember, bring your pubic bone and belly button closer together first. That's the anchor, that's the cornerstone. And then you can bring your knees together. Now engage from the belly button to the bottom of the collarbones by knitting your ribs together. And now you can bring those knees back up. You can leave the block under your neck if you want, or you can just take it out. We're going to separate this and do another core movement. So hands will come down next to you. You can keep your knees bent and do what we did before with your legs split instead of together. Or if you'd like today to be a little harder or want to explore taking it further, straighten your legs. Now notice immediately how much more muscle fibers got recruited when you straightened your legs. You lengthened the lever. And then when you're ready, to the count of 3, 2, 1, kiss the mat, lift, 3, 2, 1, switch legs, 3, 2, 1, kiss, 3, 2, 1. Now you keep going. I'm going to talk for a moment. Notice with your mind's eye, nothing is changing in your spine. You want to work your way to a point where when you lower your legs, your low belly does not let go. It stays engaged. That's what we're trying to do, is engage the core to the point where I can move my limbs around it and it won't bring injury to anywhere along my spine. As it starts to burn, as it starts to hurt, Get even more focused in your concentration. Envision the abdominal muscles engaged. When you lift that leg back up, exhale with some gusto. And as you lower it down, inhale with some gusto. I promise you it will help you. You've got about 10 more seconds, whatever that looks like, for how you're going to do the movement. 10 more seconds. About 7 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Set both of your legs out long and turn over onto your belly. Hands by your side, just turn one cheek down towards the mat and rest. See, whatever we're focusing on in the past, it's death. That moment is gone. Even joyful memories that are in the past, they are only living in your memory. They're not actually happening anymore. So we can't change it. We can't go back and affect anything that happened. So dwelling on it, resting there, residing there, giving your energy to the past, it's useless. It's one of the most futile meditations we could engage in. Better to be in the present. If there's a mistake that you feel like, oh, I don't want to make that mistake again, the only way to not make that mistake again is to be fully present in the fullness of who you are in this moment. Mind fully making decisions with the wisdom from your past and the hope from your future, not regret from the past and what ifing the future. One leads to life, the former, the other leads to death. When you're ready, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Tuck your toes under so that you can roll those inner thighs together and then put your legs back down. Now we're at neutral. We are going to do quite literally that same movement in the lumbar vertebrae, learning how to isolate them, but you're on your belly now. So go ahead and inhale, pull your pubic bone away from your belly button, and you'll feel your low back engage on this side. Do you feel that? Just pull your pubic bone away from your belly button. And now draw them closer together. Press your pubic bone into the mat. You'll feel the skin behind the belly button lift up off the floor. Maybe not literally off the floor. Inhale, open up. Feel your low back engage. Feel that low back engage. You're bringing the ilium closer to the 12th rib. But you're not crushing it like a compressive injury. You're choosing to engage it. So you're strengthening it. Press your pubic bone into the mat. Lift the hip up. Get your gaze just off your nose so that you're not looking forward or up. You don't want to kink your neck in this process. Inhale, lift. Exhale, press down. You're really learning how to isolate your core here. You do this all the time when you do cat-cow seated or on your hands and knees. And this time when you're ready, press your pubic bone into the mat and then engage your quadriceps. So push the tops of your feet into the ground and lift barely the skin over your knees off the floor. Now your bottom body is engaged. Just like we did on the other side, you engage your core first and then lift your upper body so that just the very bottom of your pec line comes off the ground and holds. It's just a very gentle yet fully engaged cobra pose. If your mind, your amygdala starts to panic and say, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. Yes, it can. You have oxygen and sugar in the muscles that is literally set aside for this immediate demand of movement you place on it. When you're ready, relax and take that opposite cheek to the mat. Arms by your side. Take a rest. See, when we focus on the past, it's dead, it's gone, it's buried. When we focus on the future, we are likely trying somehow to control it. And in any way that you're trying to control it, you are likely spinning your wheels. It's like a car with your foot on the brake and your foot on the gas. You're not getting anywhere, and your wheels are spinning, it's smoking, you're just wasting gas, you're ruining the tread on your tires, right? You're not getting anywhere. Use the sensation of your breath. Pull yourself back into this moment. What do you see around you? What do you feel against you? Those are the things that are present right now. If there's someone in your life who deserves this kind of full, lavish, loving attention that you would like to commit to give to them the next time you have an interaction with them, maybe that person is you. Maybe you deserve some soul care, self-care, time with the Holy Spirit. Remember, He is in you. When you spend time with you, you're spending time with Him. Let's engage that one more time. Don't lift your head yet. Please stay rested. We want to explore, remember? So what I want you to do first is press your pubic bone into the mat. Lift the belly button. It'll lift off the ground. It won't literally lift off the ground, right? But you'll imagine the muscles behind your belly button lifting off the ground. That's the first point of engagement. Then press your legs into the ground, tops of the feet, so that your knees lift up a little bit. Now lift your head and bring your hands underneath your shoulders. And now bring them just a little further back from your shoulders. We're going to do a very slow push-up. I'm sorry, don't think about it too much. Now press the knees into the ground. Lift your belly button off of the floor and lift to a modified plank. You got it. Now listen, as you lower down, we've got to engage the bottom sides of our shoulders, not the top sides. So pull forward. So watch me. I'm going to pull my hands as if I'm trying to drag myself forward. I won't actually drag, but that's the movement. Lower down, pull, 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 lower all the way down. Push the tops of the feet into the mat, push the pubic bone into the mat, press the hands, lift. Everything comes in one long line. Lift, 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 lift. Now pull your hands back towards your hips, lower down. Give me two more. Push your hands against the ground, push the floor away from you. And then when you lower down, pull your arm back like this. You won't see it move, but you're pulling your arm back. One more, and then we'll take a rest, I promise. We're just exploring our space here. And then lower down. This time, push your whole arms into the ground and press back to a child's pose. Before you get to the very back part, though, where your hips are about to come onto your heels, round your back like this. So again, instead of sitting back in child's pose, partially with your spine in this shape, come to neutral, round your back, and come into child's pose. If you have your block handy and you want more support, place it to your forehead. See, it's easy for you to be more engaged when I'm giving you all these directives and I'm telling you all these things to focus your mind on, and it can be difficult in these moments of calm and quiet. I don't know about you, but my mind races. Draw your attention inward to your breath in those moments. See, we're training to be fully present on our mat because every single tool I'm teaching you on your mat, you can take into the grocery store line. And instead of pulling out your phone and thumbing through Instagram, maybe you root down into mountain pose as you're waiting that 60 seconds, 2 minutes. And do 2 minutes of yoga while you're standing there. Nobody knows you're softening your tailbone down. Have you seen how subtle these movements are? Nobody knows you're doing that. You're just pulling yourself back into the present moment rather than going to default mode and just pushing through every errand you have to run. If you noticed the people around you, see, if God lives in us and human beings represent the image of God, then there's a face of God in every single person you encounter in a day. If you're missing really cool people that are expressions of who God is because you're so focused in fight or flight, what are you missing out on? All right, we've done a lot of exploration of our hips. Let's do some, spine. Let's do some exploration of our hips. So press back, lift up. If you have blocks, 2 of them, they're cheap. You can probably go to Goodwill. And if you don't want to go to Target and pay $20, it's like $10, $15, $20 for one of these silly things. It's so dumb, they're expensive. But you can go to Goodwill, pick up a couple so that you have two. Sometimes if you really enjoy this exploratory way, they're wonderful. If you don't have them, you can still do all the movements. I'm just showing you in case you have them. If you don't have them, walk your hands out a little further in front of you than tabletop and round your back. Move your right hand over to your left and just set your foot down into a low lunge. I'm going to show you what that would look like if we have blocks. Blocks make it just a little bit easier because they lift you up higher. So you push a little further forward than you would, lift those hips, points up, everything up towards the ceiling, and then step forward into a low lunge. And let's explore. So usually we go forward and back in this low lunge. Let's look at the subtleties of that. A lot of times we move forward, we inhale, right, because we're getting bigger. And we move back and we exhale. Watch my neck. A lot of people will keep looking up like this, even though their gaze comes down. Notice my neck. I'll move my ponytail. Notice my neck is still kinked up. What if, as I lifted, I pulled my shoulders down and got longer, dropped my chin to my chest, and then as I went down, I brought my whole head with me. I kept it fixed and then rounded out. Get long, push into the ground or your block, and then exhale round. Now we always go front to back in this movement in general in yoga. Come forward one more time. Push the hands down into the ground. Let the top of the head get long. And this time when you push back, let's go side to side. So maybe I'll let you see my foot. Maybe you push your hips to the left and your foot goes off to the right. And then you come forward and you push your hips to the right and your foot goes into the left. Go side to side now. We're just exploring. We also happen to be getting into the sacrum where it meets the ilium, hamstring. Actively outwardly and inwardly rotate that thigh. So when your hips go left, actively engage your glute. Push your pinky toe towards the ground. Draw center. This is all an inner rotation. So as your hips go to the right, actively engage that inner rotation. Push the base of the big toe into the ground. It's a new movement. So in my inner thigh, I can almost feel it cramping. So honor your body, but my body's going, what is this? Right? That's what I want in this exploration. One more time. And now let's put a restful pose right in the middle. That's kind of what we've been doing. Have you noticing we're moving, resting, moving, resting. So now walk forward. You can set your blocks aside, and this time I'm going to toe heel. That means just heel move, toe move, heel move, toe move, as I kind of bring my knee down in between my hands for a pigeon pose. I'll show you an alternative to this if this just isn't for you or your hips. I'll show you an alternative in a moment. Grab your blocks if you want them. Stack them, just one, not at all, whatever you want, and start to walk your hands down. And then maybe you rest your forehead on the block. Maybe two is too many. Maybe you rest your forehead down on one block. And maybe you have the availability to set your chest on your thigh. The alternative to this, if for some reason this doesn't feel good to you, is you can come down on your back. Take that same leg we're working with though, cross it over like a gentleman would in a chair, and just draw it in towards your chest. Either way, just explore. Practice, by the definition of the term, practice, right? Practice makes perfect, practice makes permanent. If you've been practicing dwelling on the future and what ifing, or practicing dwelling on the past, you've got a pathway for that in your brain. It becomes automatic. You don't even have to try to think about the past or present. Your brain automated it for you, it just popped in. So you got to practice presence and your ability to pull yourself back into the present. How? Well, I'm teaching you right now through sensation, through breath. Feel the mat underneath you. Notice the smell in the room. Listen for a noise. What instrument is in this song? Is there a bass line underneath it? ready, in whichever variation that you're in. So if you're on your back, sit up, cross your legs, pull them out from under you, and come down to your hands and knees. If you're in pigeon, you're going to use your hands. We're going to do that push-up that we did. Tuck that one toe under, and then use your hips and your hands. Push against the ground and come to that cat and cow. Let's explore side to side here. I know cat and cow is usually up and down in the spine, and you're welcome to do that as well. But let's go hips. So let the hips fall off to one side and hold. Notice the side that you're falling onto, you've really got to stabilize. Now push that right hand into the ground, whichever side you went towards, and push it into the ground to push yourself back up. And then go off to the other side. You're feeling likely your glute maximus touching into your sacrum, a little bit of your IT band if you're letting your hips fall real low. Push that hand into the ground, lift to center, and now explore with a little bit more timing. Inhale, center. Inhale, center. Ready, grab your two blocks, keep them handy. We've got that other side. Your blocks will go out in front of you a little further than in a tabletop because you've got a wider, longer leg than your arm. So now round out, make space for it. Pull that knee all the way into the chest and set the foot down. Give yourself a low lunge on this side. Now just start to notice, how is it different? One side's always more flexible than the other. One side's almost always more strong than the other. We use our body differently from side to side. And now start to explore. Push your hands against, round your spine and push everything back. And then come forward. Use that same pulling motion you did with your push-ups. Remember, you pulled your hands back as you came forward. Push away as you come back round, chin down. Remember that neck movement. Pull your hands, soften your hips, look up, long neck, shoulders back and down. Press those hands forward. Pull towards your hips. It's in these spaces that you can start to notice the neuromuscular structure of how you use your body. I'm going to start that side-to-side movement. So come down. I'm going to move my block out of the way just so you can see my leg. As I come back, I'm going to go side to side. As my hips go right, I'm going to let my pinky toe push down into the floor. As I come neutral and start to work my way to the left, the base of my big toe is going to push into the ground. See, as I move slowly like this with my breath, I can start to feel the spaces that are tight into those spaces. I bring awareness to those spaces. And that awareness then allows me, when I am standing in line, to go, oh yeah, I tend to lean on my left hip. I'm going to equalize my weight, equal standing, instead of leaning on one side or leaning on the other side. I notice that I tend to let my pelvis tip forward. This awareness allows me to remind myself to soften my tailbone down. These types of movements that we're doing right now, this inner and outer rotation, this flexion and extension in the pelvis, it is really good for the low back. Bringing our thought life, our breath, and our movement together always brings awareness to what we're thinking about, how we're moving, how we're holding our body. Maybe one more either side. You're ready, you're going to come neutral. Give it a good neutral first and bow forward, chin to chest, let that neck go. And then come forward. We're going to do that toe healing again. That just means moving toward this hand. We're going to come to that half pigeon. I'm going to push this knee into the ground. I'm not just here dumping into my low back. I'm pushing that knee into the ground and lifting high. And then I'm finding my blocks, my two blocks, my one block, my no block, and I'm bowing forward. Again, please remember that option. If this does not feel good to you or is not available to you, remember that option to come onto your back Cross your leg over like a gentleman would in a chair. Soften your low back into the ground. How do I do that? Remember, you bring your pubic bone closer to your belly button, and then you reach through your legs. When you hear a yoga teacher say, engage your core, that's kind of vague, right? It's like, what does that mean? Well, that's the first step of engaging your core. And what it does is it creates space in the low back, where usually the back side of your vertebrae are crushed together because we tend to let our core go. When we engage our core in those subtle movements in that way, we create space back there, preventing intervertebral disc issues. And then when we add our breath to the practice like this, we hijack our body back from anxiety. Instead of pushing through nervous system issues, we engage. Keep moving, keep exploring. And when we're engaged in our thought life, then we are a little more patient. We're a little kinder. We're calmer. We can see things in the moment that maybe we couldn't see if we were just pushing through our anxiety. Maybe you've been working hard enough to cultivate this peace, but you don't have to try as hard now as we're getting towards the end. It doesn't take as much effort for you. That's the goal. That start to practice this more and more. It becomes a setting you can just turn to rather than something to work so hard to get towards. Our body is really amazing at automating things. It can automate calm through exercises and movements like this, through exercises like tapping and meditation. However it would feel good to you, whichever shape you chose to take, we're going to make our way all the way onto our backs now. So take your time, stay engaged in that abdomen, work your way all the way on to your back. And then on your back, take any last twists that would feel good to you. Lately, I just love bringing my arms into cactus arms and simply letting my knees fall off to the side. It's taking your lumbar vertebrae and you're moving them into a twist. It's just a great, gentle way to twist your body. And then remember, as you come center, pull that belly button and pubic bone closer together first. Pull everything to center and then just let it go off onto the opposite side. And then once you're in the shape, feed that area with lots of breath. My friend Heath always says, I know you don't have lungs in your low back, but imagine there's lungs breathing into that space. And then as you're ready, if there are no final poses that you want to take, just let your legs go out long in front of you. Let your feet fall open. Let your arms be down by your side, open. And just allow the full support of the floor to rise up to your body and just let everything go. You've done all this training so that these last couple of moments you can rest here with me not saying anything, no guidance, and just cultivate this sensation. It's that neuromuscular repatterning that says, hey body, my loving, beautiful, sweet body, this is home. This is home base. This is where we belong. begin able to move gently out of this, just let your breath move through your body on the interior. That's enough. See, it's when we're really calm like this that we can focus on the truth of who we really are. We can hear God's voice speaking to us. Distractions are out of the way. We're in a calm state in our nervous system. Maybe if you want to make your movements a little bigger as you work your way to a seated position, take your time. Be moving slowly out of these meditative movements. It's kind of like the difference between being startled awake versus being very gently woken up. When we startle ourselves awake, we just get this zing of stress hormones. So moving slowly out of this practice is an intention that will help you keep this calm, this peace, this shalom, this wholeness with you. Say a prayer for us before we go. Bring your hands to heart center. Lord, thank you for making our bodies so that they can simultaneously automate things. We're able to accomplish so much, and yet also be able to change and move out of that when it potentially has negative consequences to our nervous system. We love you. We know that you are good and you have good plans for us. May we press into those plans in trust and in hope when we cannot see the outcome. We love you. Amen. Thank you for being with me today. I hope to see you in a practice very, very soon. Have a great day.